Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Lunch with Laura. I'm Laura Lee Collet, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I forgot what I was going to say because I remembered to turn off my computer so I won't have that big echoing back. Anyway, I'm delighted you're here with me. We're going to have some fun today, and I've got a couple things I want to show you first. A girlfriend came over last night to stamp, and she made me these precious little adorable tags that I'm going to turn you around so that you can see. Now, I think that's right. And she made for me 3 of these little tags. This one has my little Frenchy Ziggy on it, and then 2 with my Stampin' at the Bird Nest logo. And on the back is my name. Aren't those adorable? I was so tickled. Now, let me show you something else. Oh, and I want to clear something up. I know that y'all are going to find this hard to believe, but I made a mistake. I was calling these 2 different die sets by the same name. They're close, but this one is called Ornate Frames, and it has, let me take this out so you can see it better. It has some fancy things, but it also has some plain little dies in there. The other one is called Ornate Layers. And this is where you have really fancy, cool things to make a border around your stamped image. And we're going to be using the only one, well, this one is sort of plain compared to these scripty ones, but we're going to be using the one that looks like this, and I already have my tape on it, that goes right there and is out of the Ornate Layers. So anyway, don't want to call them by the same thing. I straightened that out, and I wanted to point that out to you so that you weren't confused also. Now, it's summertime. It's getting up into the feel like temperatures are already hitting triple digits. We are seeing a lot of 90 days, hot and humid. I'm ready. I forgot to show you my shirt. It says sunshine on my mind. I have my gold sand dollar earrings on. I'll have to show you that when we flip back up at the end. But it reminds me that I want to be cool. What's the best way to be cool than with either popsicles or ice cream? I made these 2 for my stamp camp class last night, and this one has a little more frou-frou on it, which I felt was a little bit too much, so I just put a little bow, gold bow on there and used some of the champagne rhinestones. I thought I had ordered the designer series paper to go with this, and I had not. So I'm going to show you today how you can make your own if you don't have it with your stamp set, or there may not be any that really works real well. So let's get on with the show, and I am going to try and do all the stamping in one color at a time so that we don't get things mixed up. And we're even going to stamp on the envelope. I've covered it with a piece of tape. I found these online when I couldn't replace them with these were Post-it notes, and they've quit making this. Boo-hoo. So I got this, which you can just tear off little small pieces instead of the wide if you want to do it that way. The stamp set we're using is a bundle called Sweet Ice Cream. So you have your cone, You have the sprinkles, you have the ice cream, the popsicles, the stick, and sayings like, "You melt my heart," "Treat yourself," "You're so cool," "Happy birthday," or "Thank you" with sprinkles on top. So that's the one that we're going to be used, and it doesn't have dies, it has a punch, which I just love. Here is your cone, and here's your ice cream. So let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to show you the paper we're using today is Petal Pink, and this is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. So we're gonna, let me reach for my bone folder here. Give that a nice crisp edge. The layer on top is Bermuda Bay, and I've cut it 1/4 inch smaller. So it's 4 by 5.25. Then the layer on top, the Whisper White, which is now called Basic White, is 3 3/4 by 5. So we're going to take a look at all of this. This is what we're going to be stamping. I have a scrap of white and a scrap of Pool Party. So let's look at the cone again. I did the sprinkles in the colors that we're using for the cone. So we've got Blackberry Bliss, Pool Party, Petal Pink. The cone is Cinnamon Crisp. That was one of our, I always say cinnamon crisp, it's cinnamon cider. That was one of last year's in colors. And then on the piece of Pool Party, I've stamped the Happy Birthday in the Bermuda Bay. The first thing I'm gonna stamp is using the cinnamon cider. I'm going to stamp the ice cream cone. Now, let me give you this little tip. If you are looking at your punch and you turn it upside down, because most of the time, probably 99.9% of the time, you're gonna stamp your image or your sentiment and then punch it out. Okay, you see how this cone is, this little triangle? Well, to me, that's not an ice cream cone. This is an ice cream cone. So when you go to stamp it, you need to stamp it upside down. And so that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna stamp it right here. And then you'll see that you can slide it right in, and I'm gonna go ahead and punch it just because I'm showing you. Oops, got one thing. It also has a little grid that makes it look like the cone, one of those crispy cone things. So you've got the little hatch mark in there. Now I'll go ahead and punch that out. And I'm through with this cinnamon cider. So I'm gonna put it away. Last night we got a little mixed up on our colors, and when you're using multiple colors, that is very easy to do. So I'm going to, like I said, stamp everything in one color and then close that up and go to the next color. So we're gonna start with Petal Pink. This is a very light pink. I think it kind of leans towards the browns. And I am going to stamp one of the snow, these I guess could be snow cones too, but I'm calling them ice cream. So that's there, and I'm gonna clean my stamp. I have my little, I put wet and dry so that I know which side to spray on. They're actually on the cleaner. There's a little sun here and raindrops, so I guess I have them backwards, but it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Mist and clean up my ice cream cone so that I don't mix colors. Next, I'm going to stamp in the petal pink. I'm going to start making my designer paper. And this is just randomly stamped. And I also want to do, because sometimes I cut out designer paper for the envelope flap. So we're going to decorate it too. Okay, now I'm through with this one, so I'm going to clean it. And I'm going to put the petal pink away. The next color we're going to use is Pool Party. This is a great kind of leans toward the aquas, and I love this color. You know, I'm all about blues and turquoise. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to leave enough space so that when I punch out, oh, and I did forget one thing. Let me go back. I was going to put some sprinkles on the pink. I'm not sure you can see that. Maybe you can see it better with the blue. And this time I'm going to use the dots. So they're dots, and then they're those little straight lines like we used here. So I need to clean both of those, but not before I stamp some confetti or sprinkles, whatever you want to call them. And this really goes fast. And I've told you before that when I'm making multiple cards, I will stamp in an assembly line method. It just makes it so much easier. Okay, our next color is Blackberry Bliss. It looks like it would really come out dark, and when you're doing like sentiments and stuff, it's darker, but when you've got a wide, a larger stamp, it comes out paler than what you would think. So I'm going to stamp that there. And listen, you see, I wanted, because one of my friends kept cleaning the stamp because she thought that was something on the stamp. That's supposed to be there. If you look at the front of at the picture that's on the front of the sweet ice cream set, you'll see that there's a little dot and there's a lighter and darker area. So don't try to erase that. That's supposed to be there. All right, now let's put some, we'll go back with our little dots and put these around. I guess I'll put one more right there. Okay, through with that one. Through with this color. Oop, nope. Go back. Oh, and let me point out that here is my email, tubobette@gmail.com, and the June host code. My website is stampingatthebirdnest.com. So if you need to reach me, either one of those, and I put a new host code every month so that if you place an order, you can do it right there. Okay, so one last color. I'm going to use the Bermuda Bay for the sentiment. Let's close up our blackberry. For our sentiment, which is a happy birthday, and I thought it was kind of big and bold that we go with a icy cold either snowball or ice cream cone. And let's see, let's use some dots this time. And I'm going to go back and kind of fill in some places. It doesn't matter if you stamp on top, just fill the whole thing up. And I put this little mask here so that I wouldn't get it on the front of the envelope. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We can take that off, and look what a cute little envelope that's going to be. And I'm through with this. Okay, next thing we're going to do is punch. Okay, we have our little ice cream cone here. And these, because of the way I punched them, are going to go in like this. And this part is going to get in the way. So I'm just going to snip that off. Put my ice cream in there. And get it centered. Looks like that's centered pretty well. And punch. There you go. I'm going to do the same thing with this. If I had done them, if my paper had been a little wider, I could have stacked them and done them this way. But that's okay, it doesn't matter, as long as it gets done. What I used to tell the parents of my kindergartners, doesn't matter how they get from A to B, it just matters that they get from A to B. So that's how this is going to. Now, sometimes when you're using a small piece of paper, you don't have enough to really hang on to. Now, in this case, I do, but if not, you can just use a little Post-it note. These look like they've been through a war zone, but they work. And I would just stick it on there, and then you have something that you can wiggle it around and position your ice cream. Okay, there's our last one. And before I start putting everything together, I want to show you what I did. Can you tell that in both of these, they're poofed up? And I'm going to show you what I did with the dimensionals. To make them, I don't know if this is concave or convex, I can't remember, but anyway, I'm going to take my bone folder and just bend it a little bit so that it is poofed up, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to put on the dimensionals. So just do each side with that. Now, when I put the dimensionals on, I'm going to, we got a brand new page. I'm going to put one on each corner, and then stack one. I don't know how that got stacked, but it's stacked. And so one on each of the little corners, one in the middle, and you're going to take that little top off and stack another dimensional on top. Okay, one more. And I'm popping up all of the things that we're going to be gluing down. So let's see, we're going to put one here, and here is one of the little mini dimensionals for the bottom of the cone. And then we're going to do this last. I'll show you once we get everything down. But let's take a look now and see where we're going to place everything. Okay, we know that all that's going to go together, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this. And I'm using our stamp and seal. And it's going to open this way. That's a good thing always to check. I remember on one of my lives, I did it backwards. That's always fun and interesting. I remember one of my girlfriends did one backwards, so she gave it to one of our left-handed friends who absolutely loved it because then it opened the opposite way it was supposed to. Okay, so here is our faux DSP, and I'm gonna have, let's see how we're gonna arrange these. Like so, and the cone can go there, and then we'll put the cinnamon on top. Wouldn't this be great for a child or an adult's birthday? I just think this is the cutest set. And the colors I came up with are the colors that are on the DSP. A lot of times that's where I get my inspiration. Okay, now you can see that that little curved part, the puffed up part, will stay because you've got the two stacked dimensionals to give it just a little more raised area. And I'm going to put this, last but not least, right there. And we'll come back with everything else in a minute. So now let me show you how the, I'll clean this right quick. And let me show you how the little cinnamon is going to be. All right, you can see that I want it to end right here. So you have to do a little maneuvering if you want it to be right there, because it's going to cut all the way to the end. So let me bring my cut and emboss machine over, move my punch. Now this is very important to have you some tape. You don't want it, and I'm using one of my scraps, and it just works. So I am going to put that down. And roll it through, which it rolls through very easily. Now, so there's the remains, and here is your, pull that off. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is put, I want it to cut right there, and I have moved the die so that it is fitting right in those little dotted places that were just cut. And I'm going to go ahead and just hang that off because I am going to cut the front part of this and not send it all the way through. This would be fine with this particular die, but on some of the others, now see, I didn't stick it down. That's what I mean. It'll wiggle on you, and you'll have to redo it. So let's do this again. Put it about right there. And make sure that it's in the right spot. In fact, I'm even going to put down another piece just to hold it. Okay. Now, here we go. Okay, I did end up sending this all the way through, which is fine because of the shape of the die. If you have one that has little, let's get this out. If you have a die that has a fancy end, such as, let me pull one of these. so you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, for instance, this one has fancy ends on each end, so I wouldn't want to mess up what I had already cut. So I'll have to show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So that's the reason I did the die like this. Okay, so it went right back in the same places. I'm going to get this back over here. I'm also going to pop this up with dimensionals. And I want the cone to show. So I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to take a piece of our elegant trim. This is about 10-12 inches. You don't need a whole lot. And you're just going to make bunny ears. Send one of the loops through the middle and pull. And then you can make it as large or small as you want. So I think that's going to be good. I'm going to cut off that long leg, and I'm going to put it right up here. My glue dots are around here. Here they are. Oh, look, this is another little trick, just to keep your glue dots from unrolling. Kind of keeps it together. And I am taking it, and because this twine or trim is so thin, I'm just going to rub the little glue dot kind of in a little long shape and put it right on the knot, and that'll hold it. Now, you know we have to have sprinkles, and there are sprinkles that go with this set, but I am substituting our champagne rhinestones. And if you don't have one of these take your pick tools, think about it, because it eliminates a whole bunch of stuff, especially if you travel, go to crops and stuff. But it has a little piece of glue there, and you just do it like that. It also has an attachment that has a pokey tool. If you turn it upside down, you have a little spade, which you also could have used here. So this is like a, I don't know, 5-in-1 or something, like those tools the guys have. Okay, so here is our birthday card, our cute envelope that we've decorated, and I didn't miss that designer series paper at all. I guarantee you it'll come in this afternoon, but that's okay. We can make our own when we're pressed to make do with something and without others. So that, I have a couple of things. Oh, I was going to show you, let me see if this will work. I was going to show you what I was talking about with the, oops. Okay, let's say I wanted to make this one longer. Okay, since it's already kind of little. Okay, now, since I want to make it longer, I'm going to stop rolling so that the end does not cut. So I'm going to stop about right there, roll it back. Okay, and you can see that I've got a fancy end here. Now what I'm going to do is try to find those little grooves that were cut on the side. It's going to be a little hard with this one, but I think I can get it. I just hope it comes out straight. This was probably not the best one to show you on, but anyway, this time I need to turn this around. And let's see, I think that's where it's going to be. Here's our little fancy edge, so I don't want to go past here when I roll this through the cut and emboss machine. So let's take a look and see if I can do it. Okay, now just want to see if I went far enough. And okay, now this was not the best one because it was so small, but I think you can get the idea. I just need to come back and clip with my little scissors that part that didn't get cut. So now I have made a longer piece. Come on. And instead of it, well, like I said, this one was not the best one to show you because it came out a little crooked. I can show you another time on this. But anyway, that's a way to extend. If your sentiment is just a little longer, but you want to use this, then you can make your tag a little longer just by moving the die around. So I hope I haven't confused you on that and that I've given you something to play with and think about. And Father's Day is fast approaching. I did not get a Father's Day card done, but I played around with the set we have and made this, which is, I think, perfect for the redneck in your life, with the red suspenders, the plaid old man shirt, the little collar that comes up, and the set is called Handsomely Suited, and it has a Father's Day greeting and the world's greatest dad. But this set can also be used to make ladies' clothes, and I'm going to get some samples together and do this for you on my live one Thursday. But it's got all sorts of things that I'll have to show you. So it comes in a bundle with the die and the stamp set. And here was just a plain card that I had done using the different ties that are in the stamp set. And I hadn't finished this one yet. But anyway, it's an adorable set, and it can be used for so much more than just a Father's Day card. So I hope I have given you some tips and techniques today that you will try. And like I said, I am always open to demonstrating something. I love to learn and to teach new techniques. If you have an idea out there, please either email me at Beaubet, BEAUBET, @gmail.com, or you can go to my website, stampin'atthebirdnest.com, and there you'll find all sorts of information. You'll be able to get in touch with me. If you don't have a catalog, you can request one. So take a look, and I also have a gallery on there. And if you'll go to the gallery, you'll see all the my cards and scrapbook pages that I have collected and put up there. So until next time, have a great rest of the week. The weekend is very close, thank goodness. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Have a good time. And I will see you next week. Mwah. See you next Thursday, 12 noon, Lunch with Laura. Bye.